Well, hello, stamping friends. So we are here for part 2 because when I was filming this, my tablet died. I guess it wasn't charged as much as I thought it was. So let's keep going. All right, I know I showed you the contents of the kit in part 1. And if you haven't watched part 1, it's only, I think, about 5 minutes. So I just kept talking to you like, and then realized later that it hadn't worked. So let me show you a couple of things that I did. I'll show you the end result, and then I'll redo a couple of things to show you how I changed up the beautiful pieces from both the kit and the add-on, okay? So I'm Leslie with LuvINK&Paper, and let's get to this. All right, so yesterday, before I realized that I was talking to myself all that time, I created a couple of cards using what we call the spotlight technique, okay? I used a couple of different sets of dies, but you can use punches if you have them. They work just as well. And if you don't have those, well, then it's okay. Don't do this particular card. But what I did was I used the Stylish Shapes dies and the Nested Essentials dies for these. And the Nested Essentials dies are new in the catalog, and they are quickly becoming a favorite of mine. So I cut with one of the smaller circles. I cut out right from this card base the canoe, okay? And then I cut a slightly larger circle from Copper Clay, which is one of the new in colors, and just stacked them. So I used the Copper Clay to cover the hole, and then I just put the piece and lined it up as best I could with the rest of the card base, so that your eye sort of fills in the empty spots, okay? And I put this up with dimensionals, and you get this beautiful spotlight effect, okay? But a spotlight does not have to be round. So I also used the rounded rectangles in the Nested Essentials dies, and the one from the Buffalo card base, and did this one, and I used Pebble Path cardstock in the background for that one. All right, so then I was poking around the internet, and I found Melinda Hart. And Melinda Hart did this really cool window look, but she did hers a little different. She actually cut her card base. She cut it down to 3 3/4 by 4 1/2, and then she cut every 3/4 of an inch this way and every 1 1/2 this way, and she got all these little pieces that she then lined up on a white card base to create the look of looking out a window. Now, I watched her video, and then I sent her a comment, and I said, I love your idea, but I am not that patient. What if you just laid white strips, real skinny white strips, across the cardstock? So that's what I did. I cut, I think these are less than 1/4 inch. Maybe they are 1/4 inch. I don't know. They're very small. No, they're 1/8 of an inch. And I just cut some white cardstock into long strips. And I used her measurements, every 3/4 of an inch. I used my silicone mat, and I just lined it up here so I could sort of see the grid lines. I made my strips long enough so that I could kind of follow it through to the other side. And I just glued on these strips, and then I put it on one of the backing pieces from the add-on kit, which I embossed and then sanded. I just used a nail buffer and just really lightly went over. So this is the timber embossing folder under there. And I just really lightly sanded so that the white would show through. Now on our regular cardstock, that doesn't work because our regular cardstock is dyed all the way through. We do have a package of something that has white core that you can do this with. But these bases for the add-on were perfect. I did a couple of others. Let me show you what I mean. So this one I did the painted texture, and then I just really lightly sanded and so I just caught the highest parts of the embossing. And then here I used the crosshatch one out of the basics embossing folder. It's a set of 3 that are part of the online exclusives. Anyway, so I did that. And I just think it's such a cool look. So anyway, then I put that on top, added a piece from the kit and the little die cut with the binoculars, because maybe that person looking out the window is going to try and see, you know, the woodpecker they hear on that pine tree or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was a cool look. Let me show you what I mean by that. And I'm going to do it a little bit differently, in that I am not going to make as many window panes. Most windows don't have that many. And I think Melinda just did it for interest, which is really cool, but a little much. So anyway, this is 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm just going to kind of lay it here where I can kind of see those dark lines and stuff. And then I'm going to take my liquid glue that I've put in this fine tip bottle. And we're just going to, and this is going to be an eyeball thing. So if you're a measurer, you're going to have to do your own math because I am not a measurer. I am not a math girl. So just letting you know that right up front. All right. So then I'm going to look, and I think I went about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about, oops, there's a little glue on the back of that one. I'm going to scoot that over. There we go. I'm going to go about that far. I'm going to aim for about 3 this way, I think. Or maybe 2 this way and 3 up and down. So let me find, I had a couple more really small, here we go. All right. So I need the longest ones for the up and downs here. I can use that one and that one. All right, so one more of these here, I think. All right. And, oh, I don't want to get glue there. It's all right, I can use my glue eraser, it's all right. My adhesive remover. That's about where I want that, I think. Excuse me, sorry for the allergy sounding voice. I probably, even though I take a daily allergy medication, probably should not be out digging in my gardens the way I have been the last week or so. Which means that my allergy medication is having a hard time keeping up. All right, let's go this way. And we'll go about like that. I think right about there. Yep, that looks good. Okay. And then we're just going to glue on one more. So we'll have fewer panes. Oh, sorry about that. We'll have fewer panes, but I think the look is a little more natural for most windows. Okay. So just a tiny, trying real hard to keep it real thin and fine for this line of glue. And then kind of want to go like that. Okay. So this one's a little skinnier, but that's okay. I could always trim this to make it a little bit more even if I wanted to. But for now, let's just trim off these window pieces. And I'm going to use an old pair. You're going to go, oh, those aren't Stampin' Up! Snips. Nope, they aren't. They're my old yucky scissors that I don't care about if they get glue on them. Don't want to get glue all over my good snips. There we go. Okay. All right, we'll just set that aside for now. And so now we have, oops, let me get that pin back in. Now we have what looks like a window, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm going to just put that on a different backing of one of the other cards. And then I did grab a base. Let me just make sure it's, yep, of boho blue. So I've got the Moody Mauve back from one of the add-on cards. And I've got a boho blue cardstock base. And we're just going to go to the, whoops, you started to slide on me here. Hold on. Okay. There we go. And if it slid too much, we'll just put that to the back. Ah, it looks pretty good. All right. So now we can add the Moody Mauve. Like this. So we just have that little, I wanted to carry through this beautiful boho blue sky, but I didn't want to put it right on the boho blue. I figured it would get lost, but I think that bounces it out just nicely. So we'll put this on like this. And then, because I don't want to block too much of this, we're going to grab, excuse me, one of these, I think. Yeah, and we'll just kind of block where the path disappears. That's okay. And I can go out as far as the Moody Mauve. I won't go all the way to the edge, but I can go this far. And that kind of gets me to this edge. Yeah, I like that. All right. So then in our stamp set, we have Cheers to Another Adventure, which I think is a great saying. So let's see if I can get that. I didn't bring a D block over here, so that was a little bit of a problem, but let's try that. Okay, now I may be able to get, and if you'll remember in other videos, I often mention that, or I mentioned in the beginning of the part 1, that I swap out my little Stampin' spot for my full-size pad. It just makes things quicker and easier for me. All right, there's that. Cheers to another adventure. Okay. And actually, I'm going to hold that open because I'm pretty sure that I have a piece of scrap right here. I didn't think it had wandered too far away. And on this other block, we can let's do the hiking boot. Let's do the hiking boot. There. And if I was really prepared, I would have had a mask. I would have masked this boot and stamped another one just near it, so we had the pair of hiking boots. Let me see. Do I have a... I thought I had... I do! Hang on, we can do this real fast. Okay. Because I think it'll look really cool. Alright, so here's our sticky end. So I want to make sure that I get a good bunch of that boot on the sticky end. Well, real quick, use my snips. And cut this out. I was just trying to figure out if I needed to do the whole thing, but I'm just going to. It won't take me but a minute. Well, maybe ever so slightly more than a minute. And I don't think I have to be as precise on the bottom as I do up here, where I want to be sure that when I stamp this other boot, there we go. All right, so then we cover this boot up like that, and we do another boot, and we just move it ever so slightly so that we have a pair. Ha! I love that. I love that masking lets you do that. That is one of my favorite techniques. So now I can cut these out. And that's my first tip on fussy cutting, is get the extra stuff out of the way. Use as small a piece to hold as you can, and make your non-cutting hand do most of the work. Okay, so if you'll notice that really the hand that's turning the paper is doing most of the work. All my right hand with the scissors is doing is closing. Occasionally repositioning, but really just closing as I move the paper. Okay. Like that. Okay, and then I can take that piece off because it was starting to bump into my fingers, which was a little bit bothersome. Okay. So you're just gonna move that paper more than anything else. You're not really moving the scissors. You might change the angle of them a tiny bit, but you're really not like turning your whole hand or anything that's holding the scissors, because if you do that, you end up at some really weird angles, which makes it super hard to finish cutting. And you don't want fussy cutting to be hard. It mostly really isn't. And I may, before I stick these boots on, I may do a little coloring. I don't have my markers right here, but I will probably color those a little bit. And then cheers to another adventure like that. And then we can just put the, oh yeah, I like that. And both of those can go up on dimensionals. So that'll be fun. Cheers to another adventure. I love using the stamps in the kit. All right, so there's that. I'll just set that one aside. I'm going to have to do a little fixing. Now there's sort of like a reverse spotlight. And so I cut a couple of things with those Nested Essentials dies. I actually cut two different, let me show you. I cut two different bases. I cut this one, this piece out of this base. Okay, and I'm saving that because I'll probably use that for something else. I cut the tent out of this base. And now I can save this for something else as well. I could even put, well, I probably can't do that because the river would kind of look weird. But you get the idea. So then what I did was I took, again, that back. And I haven't embossed it, but I could. And so I'm going to put this here on flat, okay, where I cut the big window out. And then I'm going to put this smaller window in here on dimensionals so that it kind of looks like you've got this little narrow vision of something up close, and this is all in the background. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. So that's a little bit different. That was another Melinda idea, and I thought it was really cool. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive over there and some right here. And there we go. Okay. And then we'll use some dimensionals, which we got in the kit. And if you've been a Paper Pumpkin subscriber for a while, you know you've probably got, you know, a lot of extras. And if not, they're not very expensive in the online store. Okay, so we'll take these off. And I will put photos of all the cards down in the comments because I don't think it'll let me attach. Or I may need to do a separate post. But you can always find those, and like if you click on media, you should be able to find those. Okay. And then I've got a thick white base that I'm just going to put this on right here. Okay. Like that. So, another really great card. And that Cheers to Another Adventure would work great here. Or if that shape didn't work well, then we have this other shape that could go here or here. Okay, you could almost tuck that in a little bit. All right. Or it doesn't have to have anything. Or you could even, is my trimmer here? It is. You could take a little bit of your extra here and just cut a little piece. Oh. There we go. Like that. So even these extra pieces aren't really wasted, okay? Or they don't have to be. And let's see what else is in there. Okay, so here's a little, we're going to do a little bit of masking, okay? Because what I want is, and I think I can get it all on there if I'm careful. So, I'm going to And I love this, the way of, you know, masking our stamps. So we only use what we really want. So if I can sneak life is meant for, it's going to be a little easier for me to line this up if I put that on there. Okay. Put this way. Oh, you're probably getting to see my hair. Sorry about that. Okay. Life is meant for, and I know exactly who to send this card to. I do. I have a good friend who's he does all kinds of these big adventure hikes and races and stuff. He just came back from one in Australia, and he's heading out on another one, I think. Ooh, so sorry. Didn't mean to bump into you. Right at head level. Okay, so he would love this card. Life is meant for adventure. Oh, I didn't clean that one, so I got a little bit of a halo. Hey, by the way, if you're going to do this technique, make sure you clean it really, really well. Whoops. All right, guess what? Magic cardstock. We'll try it again. So let's make sure that we have cleaned everything really well. Okay. Clean off my little scrap. And we'll just do a do-over, right? No big deal. But I need to be careful I'm not getting any of that sort of wet ink on my fingers. Life is meant for, let's get that up here in the corner. Oh, how did I have that on there? Man. All right, well, I guess you're gonna have to see this later because, well, maybe Adventure will cover that up. Let's give it a try. Let's try it and see. Okay. Okay. All right. Life is meant for adventure. Oh, nope. Clearly, my chamois isn't wet enough, and so I'm having stress with the masking. I'm sorry that you're having to see all of those sort of oopses, but, well, I'm kind of sorry. I'm sorry that I'm taking up your time with an oops, but it's also good for you to know that even when you've been a demonstrator for 20 years, you still make those oopses, and it's no big deal. It's a very tiny little piece of cardstock that I will just replace with a different piece of cardstock. And anyway, I will get that that greeting in here, and I will put it, you know, tucked in the corner over here, and it will be perfect. So, all right. So that's kind of where we're at with that kit. All right, I'm going to just put those over there, and I'm going to finish that in a minute after we're done. So we can have spotlighting this way, we can have spotlighting this way, and we can have small window panes or big window panes, or you can do these magnificent cards just the way they are in the kit. Okay, so I hope that was fun. I hope you enjoy, and I do believe that that add-on is still available. So if you are interested, you certainly could get in touch with me, and I can get that ordered for you. All right? Hey, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next month in person for real. All right? Thanks. Bye, guys.